The sun rose over the village of Keteru, warm and golden, painting the round huts and dusty paths in bright light. Goats bleated in the distance, and the smell of millet porridge drifted through the air. Life in Keteru was simple, but every step was ruled by tradition. Water was sacred, food was precious, and no one dared to anger the chief. In a small mud hut on the edge of the village lived Amara, a bright-eyed girl of 10 seasons. She stayed with her grandfather, Baba Kofi, who told her stories by the fire at night. Amara was known for asking too many questions and speaking boldly when others stayed silent. Some admired her courage. Others shook their heads and whispered, "That child's tongue will bring her trouble one day." Trouble came sooner than they thought. One hot afternoon, Amara walked past the storehouse, where baskets of yam, ground nuts, and dried fish were kept for the orphans. Her bare feet stirred dust as she hummed to herself. Then she froze. Inside the shadows of the storehouse stood Oba, the chief's only son. His hands were quick, snatching roasted maize from the basket meant for the hungry children. He stuffed the food into his cloak and looked around. He didn't see Amara watching. Her heart pounded. She stepped forward. "Oba," she cried, "that food is not yours. It belongs to the orphans." Oba's eyes narrowed. He hissed like a snake and darted away before anyone else could see. That evening in the marketplace, Amara told the truth. She stood tall, her small hands balled into fists. "I saw him steal. The chief's son." Gasps rose. But when Oba arrived, he only laughed. "Me? Steal? This little girl lies like a trickster bird." The villagers turned their faces away. None dared challenge the chief's family. The chief's voice thundered, "My son's name will not be dragged in the dust by a child's lies." As punishment, he handed Amara a cracked clay pot, full of holes and shame. "Every morning," he declared, "you will fetch water from the sacred spring with this pot. Let all see how foolish words leak, just as water leaks." Laughter spread through the crowd. Baba Kofi lowered his head in sorrow, but Amara held the broken pot tightly, her eyes fierce. "I will carry it," she whispered, "and the truth will walk with me." At dawn the next morning, the drums of Keteru beat softly to welcome the day. Smoke rose from cooking fires, and women with strong backs and bright cloths balanced smooth clay pots on their heads, walking in groups toward the sacred spring. But Amara walked alone. The cracked pot felt heavy in her small hands, though it was empty. The lines of its broken mouth seemed to laugh at her. Children pointed and giggled. "Look, the girl with the foolish pot." Men shook their heads. Women whispered, "By the time she reaches the spring, she will return soaked like a wet chicken." Amara kept her eyes on the path. Her grandfather's words echoed in her heart. "Child, truth is like fire. Even when hidden, it glows." The journey was long. She passed the tall baobab tree, the fields of dry millet, and the stones that cut her bare feet. At last she reached the sacred spring, hidden under a great iroko tree whose roots twisted like ancient snakes. The water was clear, cool, and alive with bird songs. Amara knelt. Her hands trembled as she dipped the broken pot into the spring. Water rose through the cracks, but strangely, none spilled out. She gasped, blinking hard. She lifted the pot, expecting it to pour down her dress, but the water stayed, shimmering like a secret. Her heart raced. "This is not possible," she whispered. Yet the pot was full. On the way back, villagers gathered, ready to laugh. They stared at her clothes, waiting to see them drenched. But Amara walked dry, the full pot steady on her head, and the dust behind her remained untouched by a single drop. The laughter died. Silence spread like harmattan wind. Whispers rose instead. Did you see that? The pot is cracked, yet not a drop falls. Is it a trick? The chief frowned. Oba clenched his fists. But Amara said nothing. She simply walked past them all, her back straight, her eyes calm. And deep inside, the spring's water seemed to sing softly, like a drumbeat only she could hear. Day after day, Amara carried the broken pot to the sacred spring. Each morning, the villagers gathered to watch, hoping this time the water would pour down her back and prove her a fool. But it never did. The cracked pot, full of holes, held water as though it were whole. Not a drop escaped. Children began to follow her, running barefoot behind, their fingers brushing the dry earth to test if the water leaked. Elders frowned, rubbing their beards. Something is not right, they muttered. This is not the way of clay and water. The young girls her age laughed the loudest. They carried their perfect smooth pots and walked in clusters, whispering sharp words behind cupped hands. Maybe she made a deal with spirits, one said. Or maybe the pot was never broken at all, another sneered. She is cursed, a third whispered, and curses spread like fire. Amara heard them all, but she never turned. She walked with her back straight, her pot balanced, her steps steady. Yet her heart ached. One evening, as she returned with the full pot on her head, an old man stepped forward from the crowd. His hair was white as palm ash, and his hands bore the stains of earth. It was Abani, the potter of the village, who had shaped clay since before anyone could remember. He squinted at the pot and tapped his staff against the ground. This pot, he murmured, was mine. I made it many seasons ago. It broke as I shaped it, and I cast it away by the riverbank. I left it shattered. How then does it sit on this child's head, carrying water without spilling? The whispers deepened. Fear and wonder mixed like storm clouds. That night, Oba's anger grew. Jealousy burned hotter than the sun. If the villagers looked at Amara with awe, then they no longer looked at him, the chief's son. The next morning, as Amara walked back from the spring, Oba leapt from the crowd and grabbed the pot, sneering. "Let us see your trick, liar." But the moment his hands touched the rim, the pot trembled. A burst of cold water splashed out, not on Amara, but on Oba alone. His fine robes clung to his skin, dripping as the crowd gasped. Amara stood dry, the pot still balanced on her head, shimmering with water. The people began to murmur, louder now, their eyes shifting between Oba and the girl. The mystery deepened. The whispers in Keteru grew so loud that even the chief could not ignore them. Some said Amara was blessed, others said she was cursed. Children followed her steps like shadows, and elders could no longer explain the mystery of the pot. At last, the chief struck his staff against the ground. "Bring the girl to the square. Let all see the truth." The drums beat heavily that morning. Villagers gathered beneath the sacred fig tree. Women pressed babies to their backs. Men leaned on their spears, and children perched on rooftops to watch. In the center stood Amara, the cracked pot at her side. Oba smirked, certain that this time she would be shamed. The chief's deep voice rolled across the square. "Child, pour out the pot. Let us see if it holds magic or lies." Amara lifted the vessel with steady hands. Her heart pounded, but she remembered her grandfather's words. Truth does not tremble. Slowly she tilted the pot. At first, a single drop fell, bright as a star in dust. Then another. Then suddenly a flood. Water gushed out like a river breaking free. It struck the earth with a hiss, spreading across the square. Dry soil drank greedily. Cracks closed. Grass stirred green. The villagers gasped as the sacred spring itself roared louder in the distance, as if answering Amara's act. Men leapt back, sandals soaked. Women lifted their skirts, laughing and crying all at once. Goats bleated in surprise as puddles formed where drought had ruled. And then a voice broke the awe, a small orphan boy. "She spoke the truth," he cried. "Oba took our food." Another voice joined. "Woman." "Yes, he stole from the baskets." Then a merchant. "I saw him hide maize." And another. "We feared to speak, but she did not lie." The villagers turned, eyes burning into Oba. His smirk vanished. Shame painted his face. In the murmuring crowd, truth rolled like thunder. Oba's legs trembled. That night, he fled the village, slipping into the dark, never to return. The chief, heavy with sorrow, took the cracked pot from Amara's hands. He carried it with his own and placed it inside the shrine. "This," he declared, "is no pot of shame. It is the vessel of truth. May it remind us that no lie can hold forever." Amara stood quietly, water dripping around her feet, not in triumph but in calm. The land was quenched. People had seen. The truth had broken open like rain. Seasons turned like pages of a drum song. The rains came and went, the millet rose and fell, and little by little the story of Amara and her cracked pot became the heartbeat of Keteru. No one mocked her anymore. Instead, they greeted her with respect. Mothers told their children, "Walk with truth, even if your pot is broken." Elders nodded when she passed, saying, "The water remembers her." Amara herself grew tall and graceful. Her eyes carried calm, her voice carried strength. Yet she never forgot the sting of laughter, nor the loneliness of being doubted. That was why she spent her days by the sacred spring. Children gathered around her, their feet splashing in the cool water. She would dip her hands into the stream and say softly, "Listen, water does not only quench thirst. It listens. It hears when we lie, and it hears when we speak true." That is why it stayed with me. The children leaned close, wide-eyed, some whispering into the water to test if it would answer. And though no voice rose, the spring always rippled as if nodding back. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the sky, Amara's old cracked pot, kept all these years in the shrine, finally crumbled. Its pieces scattered across the ground, too fragile to hold even dust. The villagers mourned, for it was a vessel of wonder. But Amara only smiled. She gathered the fragments with gentle hands and buried them by the spring. Months later, where the shards rested, a tree rose. Its branches curved like open arms, and its blossoms shimmered in the shape of tiny water drops. When the wind blew, they tinkled softly, like a song only the heart could hear. The people called it the Tree of Listening, and they named Amara not the girl with the broken pot, but the keeper of truth's song. And from that day on, whenever lies grew heavy, or hearts carried silence too long, villagers walked to the spring. They touched the blossoms, listened to their song, and remembered. Truth may be hidden, truth may be mocked, but like water, it always finds its way. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never stop believing in second chances. Hey my beautiful people, thank you so much for watching. Your support truly means the world to me. If you enjoy watching this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let's grow this community together. See you. I appreciate you and I am so grateful you're here.